This is Near Enough to Hell, a Ghost of El Paso story, part 11. We had ended during the dusk phase, which we're about to pick that back up. But first, let's take a current look at our hunters, as well as recap the ongoing investigations as we left them. The lost, Mother Ruth Calvo, has full three conditions: most beloved, pious, and shaken, although making progress towards clearing pious. The inevitable, Graves, has death touch, and the hanged man knows. I need to put that more in play. The Marshal Andrew Harrington has in death shadow and all's quiet in El Paso, which can be cleared at any point, really. And then the Calamity, Arkansas McGee, is hungover, marked by Red Rock, and sympathetic for the dead. So, as a quick little overview of what happened previously, we were investigating the corset and the last ride of Blackheart Vermilion. Not a lot of direct progress was made on the corset. We did get a lot of clues for the last ride of Blackheart Vermilion, and we also introduced the grieving town of Clear Springs, a literal ghost town 15 miles outside of El Paso, where the Socorro mission is currently facing troubles from the risen population of this grieving spectral town. But Arkansas McGee had done some investigations and asking around and got into a confrontation with a gentleman by the name of Big Jim at the Red Rock Cantina, which resulted in Diamond Dave, one of the co-owners, not exactly being too thrilled by his approach, especially when Arkansas started throwing around claims of, well, bad things at the Red Rock, particularly in the like past tragedies or past incidents that had happened there, rumors of them and such like. The Marshal Andrew Harrington was continuing the investigation into this matter with Blackheart Vermilion and confronted, or rather, not confronted, but spoke with Del Sol. And in addition to some very interesting clues, also received a vision of a night some 40 years ago when Edward and Isabella Reynolds found and robbed the black train that passes through this region every 6 years, carrying with it the souls of the dead, and seemingly were unaged in that process. We've learned a few snippets about their past, which we'll talk about more a little later. Mother Ruth got to have some scenes with the Marshal and has packed up her bags alongside Graves, and the two of them headed out towards the direction of Clear Springs, which is where we left off. So as part of the dusk phase, we need to, did we paint the scene? I don't think we painted the scene last time, did we? No, we did. Did we not? I don't remember. I don't think so.
About
No.
About the Wounded Knight, paint the scene about the Wounded Knight.
No, we did not.
All right, gotcha, cool. Gotcha. In that case, let me mark the old one as done. So then let's mark a new paint the scene question for the Wounded Knight. I'm thinking let's do wards against the Wounded Knight. For 5 years, the shops around town quietly overstock some items. In the 6th year, what seemingly ordinary items do the townsfolk desperately buy in an attempt at supernatural protection?
Just going with the obvious answer, just a bunch of salt. Like, it's easy to get your hands on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say now the only color bottles that you can buy are either clear or brown, because people buy up all the green ones and the blue ones to try to like capture spirits in them or ward spirits off with them.
I think that there is this weird sort of side industry with farriers that they sell like defective horseshoes, ones that have been warped irreparably that cannot go on a horse anymore, but they sell them as like wards that you can hang over your door.
They buy toy dolls. Typically like your standard like toy dolls from like Western doll and toy manufacturing. Just like it was a common before Raggedy Ann. With like porcelain heads, painted eyes, and eyebrows and everything, like painted everything. And then like a composition body that has some kind of joint. It has like a wooden frame. But they just buy those in bulk. And they will just hang them up or set them in their homes.
Very fun indeed. We had also ended with the decision that we were going to take a new crack at the question for the last ride of Blackheart Vermilion: where is the coward Jim McKinnley hiding? Complexity 8, and we have 11 clues for that. As a reminder, this question was previously attempted and failed. The theory was wrong, which led to an ambush on Arkansas, an attempt on his life that he was able to thwart. So now a new attempt is going to be made. I believe we're going to answer that question here in a moment. First, let's recap all of the clues that we have. Someone, an unseen shooter, had shot Deputy Wainwright in an alleyway. There was a rumor that Jim McKinnley had been working at Neal's as a bodyguard, perhaps. There was a telegraph never delivered addressed to Jim at the stagecoach office that told him that El Paso is not safe and he needed to get out. The story that cowards avoid hallowed grounds and cemeteries. The secondhand general store owned by Mr. Thibodeau is a fence for stolen goods. The cursed pistol of Blackheart, which is called Longshot, is with the one who betrayed her. That's interesting. Alabama Al Hines was shot in the back with the gun Longshot during a debacle over some gambling that happened at one of the newly opened establishments. The pistol that killed Blackheart Vermilion has an ad out for it in the newspaper. Someone's selling it. That's not Longshot. That's different. The note had been left. A note had been left on Arkansas's door saying "You're a yellow-bellied fake" with several words misspelled. This was after the attempt on his life had failed. The collection of stolen cigars that Del Sol gave to Andrew Harrington, as well as Blackheart Vermilion's hat with 2 bullet holes in it. So those are our 11 clues. You had a week to think about this. Do we have a theory people want to jump off, or do we need a few minutes to deliberate?
I've got one unless somebody else wanted to get in there.
Well, this is your threat, Arkansas. By all means, go ahead.
Okay, so where Arkansas got it wrong is that he was under the assumption that the coward Jim McKinnley was alone, but he's not. He's got like a gang with him. And what tipped him off about that was Big John Fells, because Big John Fells was back in Kansas City the same time Blackheart Vermilion was killed. Okay, so they're together, and the location that they're at is the secondhand store. Because of several items are pointing towards that. The stolen cigars, the pistol, the ad for the pistol, the stolen pistol or his pistol. Okay, and so that marks a bunch of them. The Blackheart Vermilion's hat having 2 holes in it is a clue from Blackheart showing Arkansas that there's more people. It's just not the outlaw Jim McKinnley. So that's like some kind of like note. A lot of these others are them, the gang coming together, knowing that they're in trouble, and I'll go over those in a minute. And then the others are the coward Jim McKinnley just being a coward Jim McKinnley. So I
actually want to throw something out there real quick because I just had an idea that I really like. Because you just mentioned that thing with the hat with the bullet holes in it. Let me actually find, yeah, because the clue with 2 bullet holes through the crown, I kind of like the idea, just to throw this into your theory, that one could easily misinterpret it to be one bullet because, you know, it's one in the front, one in the back, because like, oh, bam, bam. But if you actually take a moment to look at it, it's not an entry and an exit, it's 2 entries. So that would imply that she was shot from the front and the back simultaneously.
I like it.
Mhm. Should throw that there.
So the rumor that Jim has been working at Neil's and the Stagecoach, and even the shootout at the Gambling Emporium, those are all in the same part of town. With not the shanty town as being the nexus, but the secondhand what's it called? The secondhand general store is the actual nexus, and the shanty town is behind all that. And so him shooting Deputy Wainwright, and him shooting the gambler is just that's just him being him in the area where he's located. So the only two that I'm missing is the cowards avoid hallowed grounds and cemeteries, which I guess this is opposite side of town from that. But your yellow belly fake note, I think that was from Big John. And it's Big John trying to goad Arkansas into doing just what Arkansas did, but instead Arkansas drug him to like the marshal's office or the jail or something. So the only one I can't figure out is well, I get the cowards avoid the hallowed grounds and cemeteries. If we put the secondhand store opposite of that fits. So then the cursed pistol of Blackheart is with the cursed pistol long shot, who betrayed the person who betrayed her has it. I think that's. Did you have something for that, County?
Yeah, because like it was said, like no matter how many times you try to give it up, you can't. However, what if like one of the times like this was tried to give up was at the secondhand general store, like it was being tried to be sold there.
That's how he got in with Thibodeau. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
Okay, so any other thoughts on that? B, Wes, Chaotic?
No, that's fabulous.
All right. So let me walk through that just to make sure I understand everything you said. I'm looking at these clues. So we're establishing that the reason you first misunderstood these clues was assuming that Jim McKinnley was working alone. He is in fact not. We know that because he did not kill Blackheart Vermillion alone. This is proven by a few things, but it makes it looks like it was done by one shooter that's kind of in his favor as well, with the man who killed Blackheart Vermillion. But in fact, it wasn't. He is in fact a coward. He relied on help. And so Big John is one of his members of the crew with him. And he is currently hiding out in the general store because of a number of things, mostly with surrounding things that are being sold, things that have been found. What is Clarence's connection? Clarence Thibodeau, or whatever this guy is. That his name? Clarence Thibodeau?
Yeah, I think they've been like the guys that jumped Arkansas in the shantytown were with. So I think they've been successful, low rate thieves, picking things off the edges and selling it.
Oh, so they were hired by like, Clarence is like doing some things here as well when he's working with Jim McKinnley. Gotcha.
And he's benefiting from their crimes.
What was the thing with the stolen cigars? Is that just pointing towards his establishment again? Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah.
I think that accounts for everything, and I like the detail that the secondhand general store is it's also far enough away from any hallowed grounds in town. It was easy to miss that because the shanty town was another attractive option. And then the note. So that was left by Big John, and this was just kind of like a reactionary, like, just like, fuck you. And that the detail about it being with several words misspelled, are we just saying that Big John can't fucking spell?
He's an idiot.
Yeah. Big John's a fucking idiot. Got it. I like that. Cool. So we know that the sale of the gun that killed Blackheart Vermillion is being done through the second-hand general store. And reminder, that gun is separate from the cursed pistol. Got it. Love it. All right. So good. So at the end of the day, we are establishing that this is all centered around the secondhand general store. That will give you a +3 to the roll. I think it's fitting, Arkansas, if you make it.
5 and a 3 and a 3 is 11.
11. You are correct, and we may pursue the opportunity during the upcoming night phase. In fact, this is your last chance to resolve it, because if you don't resolve it tonight, the timer expires. Very good. Mark all those clues as used, and I'll make a note. Before we proceed further, I'd like everybody to tell me, we're going to go in reverse character keeper order, and just let me know what you intend to be doing during the upcoming night phase. As a reminder, Graves and Mother Ruth Calvo are out of town. They are going to be out by the site. So for you two, we ended with y'all arriving in the area, and I'll remind you of kind of the layout there. There is like the Socorro mission. That's where like Friar Hugo Navarro is based out of, and then there's like the ghost town itself. So it's kind of up to you whether you're intending to go right to where the living are, or if you're doing something else in the area. We'll get to that. But first, if you have a feeling I know what the answer is going to be, but Arkansas, what are you doing during the night phase?
I think I'm going to try to. I'm going to summon. I'm going to summon Blackheart Vermilion, and I think get the marshal to go arrest the coward Jim McKinnley.
Marshall, do you concur with this course of action?
Yeah, I'm probably going to take some of my deputies as well, just because, like, again, this is a huge like gang that has been apparently shooting people in the street, robbing people, like all sorts of things. Like this is gone far too much.
Let's bring that reporter Saul Ortega for PR.
I'm not bringing Saul. He could get shot.
I might tip Saul off.
Fine, tip Saul off, and if he comes, it's his own life.
You don't want to bring one of your boyfriends around?
Mother Ruth, what are you planning to do?
As Wes
Leave,
steps away.
apparently.
As Wes gets up and leaves.
Mother Ruth is gone.
Mother Ruth is gone. She just walks away. In that case, I'll ask Graves, what are you doing?
I imagine we're gonna confer with the person who tipped us off that this place was haunted as hell. But Mother Ruth was the one who got the letter, so I would actually defer to her.
Yeah, Mother Ruth, what are you doing during the night phase?
I mean, we're here for a reason, right? We're gonna go look around. Nighttime, perfect time to go check out the river. Let's go check out the river. Let's see what the river.
All right.
Go.
They're by the river. Let's go look by the river.
Sure. Go check out the ghosts first.
Let's get this taken care of. Let's just
get this talk to the living later. All right. Exactly. So B, Graves is not going to the mission. Is instead going to be sticking with Mother Ruth. Gotcha.
Oh yeah, I want to go talk to some dead people.
Of course you do. All right, very good. Do we have any unresolved Janus mask prompts? Then I'm going to give us the unseen. We'll take a quick break for everybody to think of their prompts, and we'll jump right into it. Tonight's unseen is going to be the rival general stores. After shrinking to less than 200 people during the war, Fort Worth is just starting to recover with the post-war reconstruction. Instrumental to its growth are the 3 general stores that supply nearby Dallas and folks traveling the Chisholm Trail. The general store owners and their families compete fiercely for the business. The first prompt I'm going to give to B. The second prompt I'm going to give to Wes. The third prompt goes to Daniel, and the fourth prompt will go to chaotic. Yes, this is an unseen with no paint the scene prompt, so everyone gets their chance to contribute. We're gonna take a, let's say, 10-minute break, and we'll come back and begin the night phase. We begin the night phase, and B finally spent their lingering advance. What did you pick?
I picked Death's Gloaming Gaze.
Care to read the move?
Yes, I can. You can see perfectly in pitch blackness, and your composure and vitality scores are increased by 1 during the night phase, no maximum. The first time you reveal your true nature to another hunter, you may offer this boon to them. If they accept, they have access to Death's Gloaming Gaze during the following night phase, but must take the condition melancholy or photosensitive, their choice, if they benefit from it.
Very interesting indeed. And that's the last playbook move you can grab.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Awesome. We start with the unseen. B, whenever you're ready.
The general store offers nearly identical wares, both general stores, not one. This evening, what single extra item is Mrs. Samuel trying to convince Mr. Samuel to carry in their store to give them an edge? Will it work? It never works. This is something they have tried time and time again, and it never works. But Mrs. Samuel is convinced that this time it will. It is a blood red silk fan that she is trying to convince Mr. Samuel to display in the window. They only have one, and it's beautiful, embroidered with roses in black and red lace, and the silk between them. It's absolutely stunning, but maybe not something that their customers would usually buy. She's convinced that it'll bring someone in, and they end up putting it. Sorry, somebody just started a chainsaw outside my home. And they do put it in the window, but as per usual, it's just there, sitting there, and it probably won't get sold.
Beneath the secondhand general store, in a little basement, we see the coward Jim McKinnley pacing uncomfortably. By the way, Arkansas, what does the coward Jim McKinnley look like? I only ask because he does not have a description listed on the sheet.
Did anybody write down what Alphonse, the ventriloquist dummy, looks like?
Oh, it looks like him.
Yeah.
That's
remember-
fun.
It's got a scraggly beard. I remember
Mhm.
Chaotic said that, and a black and white striped suit.
Mhm.
That's
kind of-
fun. I like
think
that a
it
lot.
I think it looks like the ventriloquist dummy. I think it
That's
does.
fun. Yeah,
Mhm.
he's pacing uncomfortably. We pan up through the floorboards at the secondhand general store where we see Clarence Thibodeau, Big John. Was it Big John or Big Jim? Big John. Big John, as well as another woman whom we haven't seen yet, who is a blonde woman dressed all in black, very tall. She has a dead-eye stare and a jagged scar on her right cheek. Now, we haven't met her yet, but this is Dorina Cruz, an outlaw who ran with Jim McKinnley and seems to also be alongside him right now. Outside the general store, as the sun begins to set over the western horizon, coming down the street is the posse to apprehend and deal justice to the coward Jim McKinnley. Marshal Harrington, could you please narrate what your approach alongside your deputies looks like? And Arkansas, can you also describe your presence here and what happens when you call Blackheart Vermillion to the scene? You're muted,
Because
Daniel.
I know.
You're muted, Daniel.
I don't want to speak for the marshal, but I kind of think Blackheart and Arkansas are gonna like come in like the back because they think he's gonna run away, And then like, so the marshal and the deputies would go through the front. I don't know. What do you think about that, Kiana?
Mhm. Yeah, like I definitely would want some people in the back there. I think I've got my marshals like this town isn't that big, so like it's not like a big posse or anything that by the stretch of imagination. I think Arkansas is just like, yes, I know that Coward McKinley will go out the back. I need to go back there because I need to be the one to confront him. I'm just like, okay, yeah, like you can handle that in Arkansas. Uh, However, I think the thing that bothers me is Harrington because I know that this is something Daniel brought up of wanting to do, and I think it would just make sense if he were there. But I think Solitega came along with it because he got tipped off by Arkansas, and disgruntledly, I am just like, okay, sure, you can keep on the street, keep your head down, and don't get shot because I know this is going to turn out violent. I know that these people are desperate, and frankly, you could come this like later. You don't have to come with us now. But however, I don't think Saul will take no for an answer. Brought the shame bell. Oh my god.
Meanwhile, 15 miles from El Paso, also as the sun is dipping low over the horizon, Graves and Mother Ruth Calvo arrive in the site known as Clear Springs. The only street is the main street. On one end is the Socorro Mission. The Clear Springs shop and the communal barn are on the other end. There are numerous smashed and dilapidated buildings between, though as the sun begins to dip and lower over the horizon and the gloom settles in, you watch an actual transition as everything darkens. Those ruined buildings then begin to fade and appear whole and intact. The shop suddenly grows a fresh coat of paint. The barn, no longer decrepit, begins to take on a more stable appearance. Overall, the area is surrounded by open land and lush vineyards. You can actually see a few people working the land. Let's paint the scene. How is this place more like a child's toys than a proper street and buildings?
The details aren't quite there. Like it's like when you look at a painting and you're like, wow, that's a really like interesting paint. Like this is a really interesting like landscape and everything. But as you look closer, you realize that the paint, like the details are just like they're just not quite there. It's more macro than micro.
I want to say the placement is odd. So like with the barn, there's like a fence, but the fence only goes like so far. Like just picture 3 toy fence sections, right? But there's cows there, and they're just like behind, like it's keeping them in, like it was just set up.
I think when you glance at the signs, you think that they say things like general store and it, but when you really like actually stop and try to read them, they're not letters. They just look like letters.
Could you repeat the question? You're muted.
How is this place more like a child's toys than a proper street and buildings?
A child's toy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
How is this place more like a child's toys than a proper street and building?
I honestly don't have anything.
All right, that's okay. Good to know. Mother Ruth and Graves, as your wagon approaches this place and you witness this spectral transformation, What do you do?
I think unless Mother Ruth tells me to keep going, I stop the wagon right outside and just watch it happen. Kind of fascinated. Because frankly, I didn't think it was going to be this obvious. I thought it was going to be more like something we had to hunt, and it's just here, an affront to God and nature.
Are you scared, Mr. Graves?
No. The dead are nothing to be afraid of. But I am curious. Are you afraid, Mother Ruth?
I think saying no would be a lie, a direct lie. Also, I know that there's something strange that goes on with you, Mr. Graves. Do not believe that I have written out devil's work upon you. But I think that maybe this area, this place, will test you. And you should approach it with some fearful respect. Maybe some fear would be good for you, don't you think?
It would be novel, Mother Ruth.
Well, let's hope that you brought a pen and some paper, and we can get started writing on one. This place is, as you like hit the and start walking, Mother Ruth's like looking over and goes, this place is, feels like a bit of a wonderland.
Indeed, almost as if responding to Mother Ruth's statement, the lights inside the Clear Spring shop turn on as the lanterns are lit, as the sky darkens. The shop windows give a warm, welcoming glow. You see various people working the fields, and you hear a splash in the Rio Grande as a woman is leaping into and swimming in the river, unminding of a dead animal that floats down the stream past her. And we go back to the unseen.
We see Jesse Boaz in the office trying to think of a holiday sale, some catchy thing to catch people's eyes. We see Jesse holding up two sheets of paper, and one says, Happy Ho Ho Holidays. And the other one says, Unwrap wonderful savings with us. And there's just notes that says too wordy, ? Needs more zing on the Ho Ho Holidays. And then there's another like scribble that says, don't call people hoes. Gardening implements. And we see Jesse just looking at them, holding them up and going, my God, I got nothing. I got nothing. I got nothing. And just stands up and just moves everything off the desk. And they say, Jesse, they told you, come out west. Find your bliss. Make your mark. You'll make a killing. Owning a general store, everybody's going to buy out. You can't keep the stocks filled enough. They're going to be walking out with everything. You're going to be drowning in money. And what am I doing now? I'm looking at two different holiday slogans, and I don't understand what's going on. I hate this. I hate this shit. I absolutely hate it. And just like slings down a bookshelf. Books just fly across the place. And then one just lands and slides and hits across Jesse's boots. And Jesse looks down and picks it up and holds up this book. And we can't see what the title is. I've got it. By God, I've got it. And just tosses the book aside and it lands and we see Alice in Wonderland. And then we just see this montage of like Jesse just painting and like detailing and everything like that. And then finally there's a banner that says a whole winter's wonderland worth of savings. And then Jesse just looks at it. And then you see a couple of people walk across, a man and a woman arm in arm, and goes, a wonderland of savings. And then Jesse goes, an absolute delight. Come on in, folks. What do you need? You need new boots? We got new boots. Snowshoes for the winter? Can't ever have. Time to stock up. I know it's just fall, but we're got to get ready for the winter, folks. Come on in.
Snowshoes for the winter in Dallas, Texas.
In Dallas, Texas. Absolutely.
Incredible. Outside the secondhand general store, the posse approaches as Arkansas and Blackheart were intending to approach from the rear, as I recall. But Marshal Harrington, as you and your deputies and other onlookers approach, your boots marching through the dirt road and stopping shy of the shop, the Dutch front door, which is to say it's one of those doors that you can open in half, like the top half or the bottom half or both. You hear like the click of a latch and the top half swings open. You can see Clarence Thibodeau kind of like poking his head out, like half like from like almost like a half crouch, like he's getting ready for cover, but trying to seem real casual about it as he surveys your posse. And Clarence just with that, constant, almost shit-eating expression of someone who's ready to say something funny, just says, afternoon, or should I say evening, Marshal? That's what brings you to my store this evening.
Clarence, take that shit-eating grin off your face. You know damn well as to why we're here. Frankly, we could do this the hard way or the easy way. The easy way being that you surrender right now and end up getting dealt with, legally speaking, but the hard way is, well, you may not walk away from us dealing with the hard way.
You hear like Clarence opens his mouth to speak, but you hear yelling from the interior of the shop, muffled as he is under the floorboards in the basement, the voice of the coward Jim McKinnley being like, I think the easy way is you fucking off, Marshal. This ain't none of your business. And you can tell that chicken shit Arkansas McGee that I am the legendary man who killed that no good bitch Blackheart Vermillion, and to fuck with me is to bring trouble to this whole town. So the easy way is you getting right off of my ass and letting me be on my way. And then like Clarence just kind of like looks left and looks right, opens his mouth and says, well, I think the easy way, Marshal, is simply, why bother yourself with this? All this trouble can be out of your town upon the morning. We can just sweep this all under the rug. No reason for this to be so messy.
Clarence, you must know that justice is a messy thing. Justice does not care for personal feelings of things. Justice demands accountability for one's actions. And I think I step closer.
As you step closer, there is a shattering of glass, which causes like Clarence to jump slightly as like one of the windows of the shop gets broken by the butt of a rifle. As like Big John kind of like pokes himself out and like has like a gun at the ready and says, if they don't care for feelings, then you can tell that to Arkansas McGee after he picked a damn fight with me for getting his feelings hurt. Clunk, clunk, like gets the gun like loaded and cocked and ready. Just says, this ain't your fight, Marshal. Just let us be on our way, and we'll call this one moot.
Well, unfortunately, it is my business because not only that you're being accounted for the murder of person, but rather the dealings of that's grand larceny of several people. So, frankly, there's some things I can overlook, but you've caused way too much noise, so you must be dealt with. And I think I pull out my gun.
Arkansas, what are you doing with Blackheart behind the store?
I asked her, I can't see that well. We're hidden in the shadows back here on the back side. And I say, I can't tell, Blackheart, do you have ghost versions of your guns, or do you need your gun back? Because I got redemption.
I'd very much like to have my gun back, Arkansas.
Here you go. It's got let's see, four bullets.
She holds it in her hand and she like looks at it, she like palms it, and like even though you know she's dead, she still like takes in this like long deep breath as if like relief settles onto her for a moment as she gives like a little low whistle and she goes, "It's still real pretty. You've kept her polished, Arkansas."
I try, but I hate to be the one to break it to you, but that coward Jim McKinnley's got long shot.
Well, let's see how that serves him. She like, you know, gets her guns drawn and then like cranes her head and she just kind of like gives a little nod and she says, "Your friend, the marshal, gives a real nice speech. I can see why you folks elected him."
He practices in the mirror.
She nods. "You want to take the lead on this one, partner?"
Yeah, let's see if there's got a back door. I'll just feel around.
Yeah, I think there's a back door.
He's gonna use stealth to try to enter from behind.
All right. It'll be the night move. What are you afraid of happening here?
I'm afraid I should have took the move where he can sneak into any place. I didn't take that move. So I'm afraid that it's booby trapped. The back door is booby trapped.
Yeah, I think it's worse than that. It was very badly booby trapped. Like Jim McKinnley is a fucking idiot. This booby trap is gonna hurt a lot more people than just you. It might cause some problems in the overall shop.
I suspected as much. That's why I brought my ventriloquist dummy Alphonse. And so I'm like down low checking the door, and I have the ventriloquist dummy up where I would be standing. So if the trap explodes, it's going to blow off Alphonse's head.
You just see a little ventriloquist head craning up over
Yes,
the ledge of
yes.
a window, and it looks left and looks right. Incredible. You can roll plus composure. I don't think being hungover will affect this. So I'll let you roll with advantage if you're marking Alfonso.
I will mark Alphonse. Alfonso.
Oh, Alphonse, yeah, not Alfonso.
Yeah, it gives me plus. Okay, plus one. Okay.
Yeah.
A 7 and an 8. So I've got 8.
8. Very good. We cut back over to Clear Springs. What are the two of you doing, Graves and Mother Ruth?
Mother Ruth is sitting on the carriage as we come closer and like probably come to a stop, and it's just looking at you.
Stops the horse and looks back and waits for a second to see if she says anything. And when she doesn't, "Yes, Ruth?"
Well, are we investigating?
Suppose we are. And finds a place to park this carriage where it would be appropriate if the town really existed, like is following these rules completely. And gets off and, like a gentleman, does offer a gloved hand to Ruth to help her down just to. He knows she doesn't need it, but it's a.
That was all she was waiting for. Was just as soon as you stepped down to help her down and everything. It was like,
God damn.
just like a proper gentleman. We'll make a man of you yet, Mr. Graves.
I will actually say this, because of what you've described there, B. There is indeed a proper place to park up, and a farrier approaches to handle your cart for you, but it's a little 9-year-old boy. Although you can tell he's dead, that he is a corpse. That he like walks up to you, but there's an older, he's very young, but his eyes make you think that he's a lot older than he looks. He walks up and just says, "Good evening, folks. You parking up for the night?"
Yes, we are.
Very good. I'd be happy to take care of your horses if they need their shoes trimmed or their hooves trimmed.
No, thank you.
All right. Well, just holler if you need anything. Just kind of like walks back over to this little area where the farriers and carts would be kept.
And for a moment, I think you actually see Graves look a little sad. Like, just for a second, and he watches this kid and then turns back to you. So where did your letter say to go first? Just here? Or...
Pulls out the letter. There was someone floating face down in the river.
Mm-hmm.
They coughed up water and screamed my name before fleeing from them. These monks have seen dead loved ones and acquaintances that are swimming in the river. The dead people are beckoning them to join them. They are terrified. They're hiding in the mission, so we can go and deal with that during the day, but let's get eyes on what's the stuff like that. The town has disappeared except for the Clear Springs shop. I never understood why the English decided to add a P and an E onto that. It never made quite much sense to me. But that's about it. Apparently there's a person that is screaming me my name that has returned to this area, so mayhaps we should find who this is.
I think we should.
Be best done with it. If I'm to believe your nature, Mr. Graves, and what you are now, which is a clear, distinguishing difference from the man that I knew before all this business started, it seems that maybe you've been placed on this good earth to help those. So I said, I'm seeing this as an opportunity for you to find further purpose in your life. Helping those that are screaming people's names that they should not be screaming at night. Near a river, no less.
This is correct, Mother Ruth. This is my purpose. I have no need to find it. I know it. This is why I came with you.
I would ask something of you, Graves.
Yes.
Mayhaps you take the lead on this one. I steel myself. Better prepare myself for what I may see. If there is someone that is calling my name and it is described as there are dead folks wandering around here, then I imagine that it is somebody that I will need to steel myself to prepare to see them.
Of course.
I also ask that if you have any questions of me and my life and the things that you see beforehand, you wait until there is a moment appropriate. Do not sit down and blubber and be like, oh, Mother Ruth, what are you talking about? Time for questions will come soon enough.
I will leave you to your secrets.
I also ask one more thing of you.
Yes.
We are making this path in a righteous step forward. We are blazing a trail of goodness and kindness and godliness. So I ask that you approach these situations with that on your mind. Do not be pulling out no guns or knives and waving them in people's faces and telling that you're going to be dueling them at high noon. That can be saved best for El Paso and the devilry that is on those streets. Here, this is something that's more sensitive, and I ask for your hand in that. So please, walk with God on your right-hand side, and I shall be there on your left, and we will guide you to a true and mighty purpose.
Mother Ruth, God has no hand in my purpose, and there are no need for guns here. Come on, to the river. And he puts a hand sort of like on your arm to gently guide you on his left side and starts to head towards the river away from the general store.
Let's go back to the unseen.
I've got mine. I just gotta find the right tab. Out back of his general store, Henry Davis takes a late night receipt of the new self-contained kit that has come on a freight wagon along the Chisholm Trail. What could a customer build from scratch with the contents of this very large package kit? Well, inside it is he's not going to break it down. He's going to sell it, right? But inside it is it comes with instructions. It comes with all the numbered parts where you too can build a franchise general store, a secondhand general store, complete with glass windows, Dutch doors, back doors, rafters to hang all the goods. And so that's basically he's going through checking the list for his franchise.
Let's resolve Arkansas's role from the 8 to sneak inside. Here's what happens. With your dummy being used as a dummy, and you slowly and carefully make your way to the back door and open it, test it to make sure that there are no booby traps. Indeed, there are none, thankfully, that are immediately present in the door. You successfully sneak inside the shop, but here's your complication. I think it's very fitting with what was set up to do this, that there is a booby trap a bit further in. Seems like Jim McKinnley was too stupid to booby trap the actual door and set up a booby trap further in the shop. I think this is a relatively quiet booby trap, so as not to like negate the success of your role from sneaking inside. But it is destructive enough that I think it will destroy Alphonse, keeping in mind that you had him like kind of like out in front of you and use as a something's going to happen that just shatters and breaks Alphonse. If we keep that, I'll let you tell me like what that trap looks like and like what happens to Alphonse. But that's my complication, so you'll destroy that item.
I guess it's like a saw blade that's been on an arm that's got a latch on it and a very powerful spring. And as Arkansas is sneaking in with Alphonse, he hits it, and there's a a metal like shink sound, and then the ceramic head of Alphonse is like cut right in half, and as it's about to fall and hit the floor and make some noise, he catches like the Arkansas catches the top of the head, and it's just kind of like from here up, and it's a very I hardly knew you, Alphonse, and here you are.
Out front, you drew your gun, Marshal Harrington. Tensions are quite high. I think that this necessitates the night move with your speech and gun drawn kind of definitively making this the night move. What are you afraid of happening here?
I'm afraid that that we're gonna end up in a huge gunfight, and like my side is gonna take some major losses.
It's worse than that. You will be one of those losses.
I
This will
think because
be. Go ahead.
I think because I am literally getting in a gunfight in the middle of the night. I'm I'm going to be clearing the condition all's quiet in El Paso to gain advantage.
That makes complete and utter sense. And I was going to say that if speech wise, I was going to have that be presence, but if you're resorting to shooting, to dealing this with gunfire logic, it'll be plus composure and advantage because you'll clear all quiet in El Paso.
Yeah, like I told everyone that this was going to end in a gunfight.
Yeah, you did. So roll with advantage.
Ooh, but my composure is pretty good. That is a 10.
A 10. Nary, what happens?
I think Big John is the one who shoots first because he punched through the glass, and I think as like that happens, my gun is immediately drawn to him, and I shoot through the window. I think the rest of my deputies take in line and start shooting. It is it is a bit of a mess. I think Clarence hits the deck and is cowering, like that sort of thing. I don't know because like the way you describe the character McKinnley, like he's just not involved. I have no control over him. So, but yeah, it only lasts for about like several seconds as well. I don't think Clarence is going to fire back.
Yeah, holes blown, gunshots crack and echo out into the night. Let's go back to Clear Springs. Graves, you lead Mother Calvo towards the banks of the Rio Grande. And there was that woman who seems to be swimming in the river. Very lackadaisically, but with great enjoyment. There is that spectral aura around her. You get to see a little bit more of her as you approach, as she kind of like breaks the surface of the river and swims around. This is a much older woman, like probably a little older than you, Mother Ruth, very grandmotherly, but she is swimming with the energy and overall confidence of a younger woman. And she begins to just, do a little backstroke, just swims and is just enjoying a night swim in the river as you approach. What do you do?
I lead Mother Ruth to the banks, but don't make sure we're not like within grabbing distance of the water, at least not Mother Ruth. And I wait for this woman to come back over to us. And I catch her eye and gesture for her to come close.
You catch her eye and she gives you a smile. She doesn't come closer, but she does stop her recreational swimming and just kind of treads water more in like the shallows. She runs her hands through her sopping wet gray locks as she says, "Oh, hey there, darling. I didn't see you there. You watching me go for a swim?"
Well, it looked like you were having such a fun time. We didn't want to interrupt you, but I just had a few questions I wanted to ask. If you're not busy.
Not busy at all. It's after dark, so it's quitting time, and I love nothing more than cooling off in the river after a long hot day working the fields. say, why don't you join me, both of you? Water gets real nice, especially after sundown. She like splashes a little water in your direction towards the bank.
I do glance at Mother Ruth just to sort of see what her reaction is because I don't know who was calling her name and see if she knows this woman.
Yeah, this is not her. This is not someone.
This is not the right person.
Does not seem to be.
Yeah, I think Mother Ruth is just looking at this as like, there's no recognition. There's no just stone cold and just like, but not like just like stone cold, like there's vapid or anything, or like there's anger or anything like that. It's like almost like concern of like, this is unnatural and something is happening. And it probably needs to be taken care of.
I think for that note, Mother Ruth, based on what you described, I'd like you to make the night move.
Oh,
Just for facing something you fear.
okay.
What are you afraid of happening if you lose your nerve?
I'm afraid that like Mother Ruth will like lose a sense of herself and will actually like just like lose the plot of what's happening here and all the danger, and we'll just be like, now listen here, we'll engage too much and we'll directly engage and like try to be hands-on with the situation to a point where, to an unsafe point, almost like handling a snake with no protection or no idea of how to handle one. Just lose all sense of inhibition and we'll just like dive straight. We'll not let Graves handle anything. We'll try to take too much charge.
Yeah, I think it's worse than that. Although I'm not sure how. I'm thinking. Any ideas, anyone?
I
Go ahead. No, it's yours.
I think probably worse than that. Mother Ruth will lose that sense of strength and direction, and we'll just turn tail and run. We'll just like run, just flee.
Yeah,
too scared to flee.
Yeah, I like that a lot. All right. In this case, you can roll plus composure with disadvantage because you're shaken.
Perfect.
If you do want to go through with it, I think what backing down would look like in this situation would simply be choosing to run to the safety of the Socorro mission. Like this is shaking you to your core, but you are going to go find safety in the Lord. So that's what backing down would look like. Like you're going to leave Grave to deal with the dead while you go to the Socorro mission.
There's been a thing that I've had since the very beginning that I've not utilized, a personal item. It is a dead soldier's lover's letter that's not for me. I think there's going to be a bit of serendipity here that Mother Ruth kind of feels its presence and is going to try to steel herself and be like, this is my purpose. I'm trying to bring solace and peace to this land through, like, this is my mission, and is going to hold on to it tightly for strength to provide like that kind of sense of like, this is what I'm here for.
I love that. All right, then mitigate, roll flat plus composure.
Post composure. All right, here we go, my baby. Okay. That is a 6.
Oh no.
Plus anything or no?
That is a 6.
That's it. All right.
Oh no.
Let's go back to the unseen.
Damn it.
As the night goes on, everyone's sleep is disturbed by the sounds of a roaring inferno. The Davises' general store is ablaze, burning in the night. Henry Davis suspects that one of the families that owned a rival general store. What evidence suggests they did it? What evidence suggests that this was all an accident? I think as people are trying to get this out, I think we see Henry Davis ranting and raving and like pointing the fingers at the neighbors at the rival general store about like you did this. I saw you out here earlier. You were shouting at outside my door and you were demanding to be let in and I wouldn't let you in. So you just decided to burn it down with me inside. You tried to kill me. But I think with a sort of the argument back, it's just like I didn't have to do shit. You're the one that like has like improper storage of kerosene lamps and whatnot. This was going to go up smoke just if you were to sneeze inside rather than like just me and having to do anything. And like it's just this like fight that keeps on escalating and escalating before it just like sort of breaks out into like punches and fury and like the like I think the local law enforcement have to like step in to like tear these two apart.
Arkansas, narrate what you and Blackheart Vermillion do after sneaking inside the shop to apprehend the coward Jim McKinnley, or narrate your confrontation with Jim McKinnley before you're able to bring him out to face the marshal.
I kind of like the idea that he's like hiding in the stairs that go down to the cellar, and he's looking at where Big John and them are shooting, and and the other woman. And I think I think Arkansas has like a knife. Mate, I think he's got a knife. Yeah, he's got a knife. He sneaks up and he has a knife to the woman's neck, and then and he kind of waves at Jim McKinnley, and when Jim McKinnley sees him, he points kind of like behind Jim McKinnley, and when Jim McKinnley turns, Blackheart Vermillion has her gun, Redemption, like pointed like right on his forehead, and I think he just says, "Come on out of there, Jim."
Marshal, finish off the scene by narrating the resolution as Arkansas brings out Jim McKinnley. And Arkansas, I do want you to also narrate a little bit, or we'll have a little bit of stuff with Blackheart Vermillion and you towards the end. But for now, yeah, Marshal, go ahead and narrate how this gets resolved.
I think it's me, my deputies, taking out the body of Big John. I think we arrest Clarence, and there was a third person, I believe.
That woman.
Yeah, Doreen. Yeah.
Doreen. And I think we get her as well as just. Frankly, this could have gone better, but honestly, it could have gone worse. We've gotten rid of a major gang in El Paso that honestly was getting a little bit too big for their britches. It was getting a little bit on my nerves. And frankly, it's all in a good night's work for the sheriff's the marshal. Justice got done.
As the men of the law are dealing with the apprehension of Jim McKinnley, levying his crimes against him, Blackheart Vermillion stands to the side alone with you, watching the marshal and his deputies carry Jim McKinnley off in cuffs, as well as his associates, towards the jail to help usher him towards justice. And she gives a slow inhale and exhale and rolls her shoulders and just seems to be staring off into the distance. What do you say or do, Arkansas?
Does that about do it for you there, Blackheart?
Well, they say revenge don't bring you satisfaction. But I gotta say, I feel a little bit better. Mostly that lazy-eyed son of a bitch being put in cuffs and ushered towards a cell with which he will find no fame or circumstance. Honestly, it's pretty funny.
Wait till you see the story that Saul Ortega writes about it. I'm sure he'll do a good job.
I'm sure. Oh, I feel a certain kind of way, Arkansas. And I'm not sure I've felt this way since a long time.
You ought to stick around El Paso for a bit. This blood moon makes it possible.
Well, I don't think I particularly have much of a say, honestly. While I may feel like the restlessness in my soul has quieted and I can breathe easy for the first time since I stopped breathing, I ain't going anywhere until this season's at an end. I have a ride to catch, but ticket lasts until we see this season through. So I suppose I'll be around. You've always needed my help, Arkansas. I see I'm not off the hook, even after I've passed on.
I got projects and things I'm working on.
She nods and just says, "You should work on finding your own peace, Arkansas. It's good for the soul."
Don't start all that now. Come on, you're ruining the moment.
All right. I'll see you around. She disappears.
He looks in his pocket and he sees the lock of her hair and he kind of pats it and then follows behind the marshal.
Mother Ruth, this is all too much. It's one thing to be a woman of the faith in El Paso, a town of the living, beset on all sides by the dead and the demonic. But this is a place that truly should not be. Corpses walking the earth inhabited by restless souls, a town brought back from destruction by devilry. This red moonlight, this blood red sanguine light that shines over the land and brings with it unholy things. This is not a place for you. For the first time in a long time, you felt a true and profound fear. And with no additional words or actions, you flee in the face of it. You run away from the banks of the river, leaving graves there. You run away, where? Towards the Lord, perhaps, the Socorro mission. But that is, the entire town is between you and that. And there are all these dead people who wave at you and smile at you and invite you to come for a swim, dunk your head in the water. Everything's gonna be okay. You look a little tired. You run away from them, zigzagging throughout this town that should not be. Where is the Lord? Where is the safety of the Lord? You are lost in this place, and all of these people call to you, asking if you're okay. It's all right. Come back. Calm down. Is everything all right? But the town only has a certain amount of patience before your flight runs it thin. It wants you to go to the river. These people invite you to the river. All of your burdens can be released if you take a swim. But you're fleeing and you're devout. And it really is getting tired of the chase. You stumble blindly into one of these unholy structures, surrounded on all sides by a sensation you cannot escape. You got to figure out where to go. You got to leave the town. You got to get back to El Paso, get back to the church, get back to those hallowed grounds where you can be resolute and pure and safe in your faith. And that's when the floorboards rot beneath your feet. You plummet through them and drop directly into the dark, cold depths of the river, even though you were nowhere near it. Mother Ruth, Your skirts and dress billow out in the darkness as you struggle, the red moonlight shifting like a curtain of damnation through the blue darkness. This purple haze that deepens as the river pulls you deeper, and the Lord won't save you this time.
Is what would happen if I didn't put on a mask.
That's
which is
correct.
what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm. Which mask are you marking?
I'm marking the Mask of the Past. And I can go ahead and narrate it right now. It's narrate a flashback to the moment when you lost your faith on the battlefield. We see that moment kind of like just running through her mind and everything, focused on Mother Ruth Calvo, and then we have that jump cut again, smoothed out the wrinkles, except there is grit and grime and blood on Mother Calvo's face. Towards the end of the Battle of Antietam, things are looking not great. There is dead and wounded screaming all around. Even the dead is screaming that this is battle. What was known as the Battle of Sharpsburg, but would transpire into these things. It would usually it would change over time, over history, over tellings. We are seeing so much dead and wounded. And it's the wounded that's the worst. As the Union forces are making their way towards Sharpsburg, encroaching in on Lee's forces and everything, the thing that sticks, it's not even the removal of limbs, it's not the removal of musket balls from flesh, it is not the comforting someone that has been ripped apart by a small artillery ball that just bounced on the battlefield and just wrecked roughshod across these men, breaking bone, ripping flesh from meat. It's not the permanently scarring of people's faces that will mean that they will never see the sunlight again. They will know that it is there. They will feel it on its face, but they'll never be able to see its sunshine. We just see her looking over this. The thing that bothers her the most is having to move constantly, having to move the wounded, having to move the dead, having to pick them up and put them in carriages and carts and move them, because the front has changed, because we're making so much headway into this, and you can see the pain and frustration in the wounded as they are having to either crutch themselves if they can, or having to help each other, and they just need to rest. Mother Calvo needs to rest. Tomas Calvo, Mother Calvo's husband, and the rest of her flock need to rest, but they still stand and they help these people. They try their best. Supplies are running low. We see them finally moving and setting and establishing this tent and reassessing all of the dead, to hear a cry, a counter attack, a counter offensive from the Confederacy. There's a feeling that nothing will push through. Nothing. It's just like all the other counteroffensives. But something happens. A line breaks at one point, and you can just see gray coats flooding the field, and not even gray coats. They look like farmers. They look like ragtag people that are just blatant killing. But the medical tent, the medical area, has moved so close to the front that they're near the battlefield. Mother Calvo can hear the musket balls whizzing around her. She starts trying to take cover, pushing people over that are wounded to try to give them cover behind something, a table, anything that can provide cover. She feels herself being moved, trampled by some of these people. She gets knocked over. They're stepping on her and everything like that. She's crying out for the Lord, and more so, she's crying out for Tomas to help her. She can hear broken Dutch, screaming, yelling. pushing people over. She can hear the rustling. And finally, she feels his rough hands pick her up, holding her up, trying to get her feet out from under her, and she's flailing and she's trying to catch herself. And she looks at him and she says, Tomas, and then she notices it as he has fallen silent and even cold, now pale as a sheet, a bayonet sticking through his chest. It's removed and he falls and collapses on top of her. And she can hear his death knell, his breathing rattling in her ears as she tries to. But Tomas is a big man. He's 6'3", near 300 pounds. And she can't move. And she can just hear battle. And then cheers and cries as the Confederacy is pushed back. General McClellan, a fuck up during this entire battle, did something right and supported some of the cavalry line to stand back, hang back to support the line and push back, and routed the Confederacy that was pushing forward. Reestablishing lines, things are moved, wounded are moved aside, debris is moved aside. But Mother Calvo had to sit there for 3 hours while her husband died on top of her. She sees signs of celebration as the Confederacy starts to turn back. But all she can think of and hear is just that ragged breathing in her ears. And she knows that there once was a God and a Lord above, but he's not here anymore. He's probably gone someplace else. He's not in this land. He's not in this world. Because somebody as just, as right, as generous as that Lord would never have allowed someone as sweet, as strong, as caring as Tomas to be taken away by the cruelties of war. And it breaks her. And then we come back as we see that, like, that come and see look of shell-shocked look on her face, back to the wrinkles, the white hair. And I think she just instinctually grabs Graves' forearm and just claws, almost digging through the fabric into the skin. Very close to actually touching Graves' skin, but does not.
Before we end, Graves, you were speaking with this corpse. Your morbid tongue move does trigger, so you are welcome to ask this ghost a question about their trespass in the realm of mortals.
And I think it's just straight and to the point. As Mother Ruth clutches onto his arm, it's actually a bit of a it's more comforting than her running or not holding on to him, because he knows she's not going into the river right now. And he's not worried about his own mortal frame, but he is worried about hers. And he just looks at this corpse or ghost or whatever she is and says, "Why haven't you left yet?"
Why haven't you left yet? I must answer in the form of a clue. I think when you ask, why haven't you left yet? There's a moment where her expression shifts and changes to something softer, more somber. And then her head like violently like whips around and dunks under the water as if she's trying to drown herself before she manages to stand back up and like reassert some sense of control. Very odd indeed. But as she sputters and spits out some water, you notice that the aura and energy of the town has shifted slightly. And looking around, many of these citizens of Clear Springs, almost as if they all heard you simultaneously, stand quietly with heads down for no apparent reason. That is your clue. They don't answer directly, but you notice that. And before we end the night phase and the two of you seek the safety of the Socorro mission, as darkness really settles over the river, I have a paint the scene prompt. as the river takes on a spectral glow and numerous more swimmers appear. Who do you see, living or dead, in the water among the crowd of Clear Spring swimmers? Are they drowning or swimming?
I think we see the owner of the Four Aces Ranch, who was a cattle rustler and was eventually shot and killed. I think we see him swimming out of the river.
It's only recent, but still. We see Big John there being pulled down, struggling to go to the surface.
I think we see the old Marshal. And he's swimming.
And I think we see Tomas just standing in the water. It looks like drowning, but you can see it as like the clothing that he's wearing is rippling, like it's in water. His hair is too, and that mouth is making just like that movement of like it's choking on water but trying to see something and say something. And Ruth just hears Ruth, Ruth, Ruth.
And with that, we bring our night phase to a close.
Oh my God.
Let's take a 10-minute break. And when we come back, I have things. We're moving into the dawn phase. So we have rewards to collect from the resolution of the last ride of Blackheart Vermilion. Let's talk about that. The rewards available, they are now visible on our character keeper. Since the Calamity personally helped bring Jim McKinnley to justice, one of these rewards is the Calamity is able to continue to summon Blackheart Vermilion with the lock of her hair. The ghost may be consulted on a regular basis as a side character for additional clues. If you're consulting them about shootouts, firearms, or desperados. You can take Blackheart Vermilion's saddle and tack, a one-way stagecoach ticket out of town, a black guitar with red roses painted on it, or a memento that you ask another hunter for. Who wants what?
I think I will take the Blackheart Vermilion.
That makes sense. You're muted, Wes.
I think that I'm going to take. Actually, I don't know. I like the idea of somebody else having that. I'm going to take the one-way stagecoach ticket out of town.
All right, add that to your personal quarters.
Yeah, I'm just going to go with a memento.
All right, who do you want to give to?
I'll give it to Daniel.
All right, what memento does Harrington take?
I think he takes and it doesn't appear to be cursed, but he takes the pistol long shot.
Blackheart's famous pistol long shot, now in the possession of Marshal Harrington. I'm sure she's okay with that, and she is. What does Graves take?
I think we're gonna have a memento and give that to
There was
Marshal.
only one memento option available on
Oh,
that
fuck,
mystery,
okay.
and yeah,
All right.
it's been taken.
Then you know what? Then I'll take the saddle and tack and put it on our lovely horse when we get
All
back
right.
to town.
You take Blackheart Vermilion, saddle and tack. Add that to your personal quarters. Very good. All right, let's answer dawn questions. Everybody, we did answer a question and we did resolve a threat. And Mother Ruth, did you experience an echo in the night? Yes, you did. I caught the Wonderland one. That was very, very good. Mother Ruth, did you try to convince someone to do the right thing? It's Mark, so I'm going to assume yes.
Yeah, I tried to convince Graves to handle this in a way that is peaceful and everything, trying to moving the way to handle this whole situation.
And you absolutely let yourself be driven by guilt. So you take 5 XP, and that immediately knocks you into a new advance. I'll let you think on that with 3 over. Jeez. Graves, did you experience an echo in the night?
You know, I don't think so, actually. I don't think I set myself up for one.
All right. Did you have a misunderstanding with another character because they perceived you as the host?
I think actually that has sort of gone by the wayside.
Mm-hmm. Did you take time to puzzle over the human condition?
Oh yeah, me and Ruth had long conversations about that.
You can mark 3 then. Marshal Harrington, did you experience an echo in the night?
Yes, with the sort of confrontation that happened in the unseen with my own confrontation.
Did you abuse your badge to gain the upper hand?
I would say so, in the regards of using my deputies as a source of violence to get what I want, rather than trying to resolve things peacefully.
That makes sense. And did you deliver about a cold monologue about the cruelty of justice? Yes, you did.
Yeah.
You get to mark 5, and that is another advance with 4 over. Jeez, everyone's in a real good place. Arkansas, did you experience an echo in the night?
Yeah, the kit to make the store with the Dutch doors.
Did you complain or brag about being hungover or drunk?
I don't think I did last time, and I definitely didn't this time.
Okay. And did you punch no good coward mouth? Yes, Big John last time. So that is 4 XP and another advance for you. We had advances from everyone, it looks like. So who's taking what for their advances?
I would need the okay from you, Alex, but I want to take a custom move.
Do you have that custom move ready?
I sent you a DM on Zoom.
Let me take a look. There's 2 here. Okay.
Yes. The first one was the one I'm aiming for, but I made the second one as an earlier draft. So
you're aiming for the first one. Gotcha.
Yes.
All right, cool. I'll read that while I'm parsing over that. What are other people thinking for their advances?
I'm adding a +1 to my composure. I think that makes sense after everything that happened at the river. That's like a big stealing. I'm
trying to see how many mastermind threat clues we have.
We're at 7.
And does 10 trigger the siege of El Paso?
Layer 4. Yep.
I'm not sure if I'll make it, but just in case I'm able to hang in there, I'm going to take Blaze of Glory.
Very nice.
And Blaze of Glory is in the face of danger, you can either convince yourself you either convince yourself it is do or die time, or you drink as much liquid courage as it takes. Now, with weapons you own, borrowed, or manufactured, you are ready for what might be your last stand. You become an unstoppable force of nature, and for the entire night phase, any violence you do is at an advantage. All personal items that are weapons are marked, and you take the condition all shot up or hurt real bad.
Love it. Chaotic, I've read this move, and I like it. I don't have any comments on it, I think. I think mechanically I'm cool with it. I'll see if make any adjustments in play, but I like it. I'm with it. It's that first one, so yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I kind of feared the second one would maybe be a little bit too much.
A little bit too much, yeah. But I like that first one a lot. And then so you can take that. Mother Ruth, Graves. Mother Ruth, you boosted, yeah, and Graves, what did you take?
I didn't get an advancement. I only got 3 because I took my advancement unused one last time.
Right. That is correct. So you did not fill your tracker just now. Gotcha. I don't know. Why did I think you did? I'm dumb. Then yeah, great. Chaotic, do you want to tell us what your custom move is, or do you want to keep that close to your chest?
I, I'll tell you what people are. At least the thematic description, not the
Sure.
mechanical stuff. Yes.
Sure.
The move is called The Devil You Know. Your compatriots have unsettling secrets, but you have your own, and you may just reveal your own. You're only kind of human. Your form is permutable to of your choosing. Who is Andrew Harrington? Anyone he chooses to be.
We got a chameleon in the midst, boys. All right, good.
It's starting to feel like a Suicide Squad,
A
people.
little bit. I'm kind of here for it. What is the we don't have any Janus mass prompts outstanding, do we? No? All right, good. We move on to the day phase.
We didn't use the one for Blackheart Vermilion. Dang it.
Yeah, we didn't. So unfortunately it's lost. Unfortunately.
Let that serve as a reminder.
Yeah, we haven't been using those masks for a while. Although a part of me is beginning, because I know that like some changes Jason's thinking about for the final release of the Between, I'm honestly thinking of home ruling it and just like letting those masks be available even after the thing has been resolved. Because I know that that's a change coming, is that like that masks are going to be available as rewards instead of ongoing things. So which I think is pretty fun. It kind of it keeps it adds more masks to the pile.
That. Yeah.
I'll decide on that between sessions. I might just, so you might have a bunch of masks that you'll be able to use, but it is time for me to introduce something new, and it is not a new threat. It is a side threat of my own creation. We've only ever seen one official side threat for the Between, that is the Reaver's Last Victim. Side threats are introduced like other threats, but they don't count towards the limit of active threats. And its mask can be used whenever, not just when you're actively involved in it. And also, perhaps a little controversial of my own decision making here, I have decided that at least for now, only the Marshal is allowed to investigate this side threat. And this side threat is called The Strange Case of Bartholomew Graves. Marshal Harrington, there's been a question on your mind as of late. What the hell happened to Bartholomew Graves? Especially ever since that conversation you had about the book, you haven't been able to shake the feeling that something is terribly wrong with him. And since the attempt on his life, nobody in El Paso calls him Bartholomew anymore, just Graves. His bearing and all these circumstances surrounding it is almost like he's a different person entirely. And he was shot the night that the season of the Wounded Knight began. Maybe these things are connected, but you're not going to be able to figure out how they're connected or what that might mean or what is even going on with him for the present being. But you are the Marshal, and you can do your duty as a lawman and at least figure out who shot him and apprehend them. All this Wounded Knight business has distracted you from that question of who shot Bartholomew Graves. So the question for the strange case of Bartholomew Graves is who shot Bartholomew Graves on the night of September 22nd? It's a complexity 4. Answering that will allow you to resolve the side threat by apprehending the culprit. And there are more things that happen after that, but for now, that's just the thing you need to concern yourself with. There is a timer on this one. And this, here's the thing, right? I wrote this entirely thing myself, and I have no idea if this will be a good idea mechanically or narratively, but it sounded fun and tense. This does have a timer, but not in the traditional phase sense. You have until layer 4 of the Mastermind Conspiracy to resolve this. That's 3 more Mastermind clues away until the trail grows cold in the wake of more immediately pressing circumstances that happen during layer 4 of the Mastermind Conspiracy. So you're 3 mastermind clues away from this being off the table. There is a mask associated with the strange case of Bartholomew Graves, the mask of murder. Each hunter narrates a flashback to a time when they were blinded by rage and almost committed a terrible act. There is also one more special rule, and I kind of ripped this directly from the Reaver's Last Victim, but altered it a little bit. The information move is not available when investigating this side threat. Rather, once per day, whenever the marshal takes the time to do so, he can narrate a short scene where he visits locations in El Paso, talks to locals, goes through old stories of the El Paso Times or similar work. The marshal can then pose a question to the table, including the keeper, about the life and activities of Bartholomew Graves. The inevitable must answer truthfully based on their understanding of the host, while the others may answer with a rumor or unconfirmed report about things Graves got up to. Based on those answers, the marshal finds a clue, and he will tell me what it is.
Mhm.
So this is the strange case of Bartholomew Graves that is now present on the marshal's mind. So it's the day phase. Mother Ruth and Graves, you two will have eventually spent the night at the Socorro mission, since that was a place of relative safety. So we will begin you two there. But back in El Paso proper, what are Arkansas and Andrew each planning to do?
I think because I've done so much for Arkansas, I know mechanically it doesn't help anything, but thematically I'm interested in it. I want to take Arkansas on a little bit of a ride along as I investigate Bartholomew, because I know he's out of town, so his house, his lodging, I could just go see through it.
Into my home?
Yeah. What?
I would love to do that and do a vulnerable scene, but it has to be with my vice, and I don't have a gun at the moment, so my target practice at the sky will probably be something like a slingshot that he's made, or
We're just throwing rocks.
yeah. So, but yeah, because he's hurting with conditions.
Mhm.
Did any of those go away? Were any of those tied to the threat?
None of those were tied
No.
explicitly
Oh,
to it. Yeah. Okay, so here's what I'll say. Because you're just doing a bit of a ride along, we'll have Marshal Harrington narrate the circumstances as I just laid them out, and then I'll let you, Arkansas, decide where in the course of the day's ride along you trigger this vulnerable scene, and we'll go from there. Meanwhile, over at the Socorro mission, which is a simple adobe building in the traditional Spanish style. The monks, under the stewardship of Friar Hugo, have been hard at work renovating and repairing it until recent events. Let's paint the scene about the Socorro mission as we see it in the morning. What about the scene shows repair work recently and suddenly stopped?
There's like a half painted, like redone pew. Like it's like only been half either painted or stained, like, and they just stopped in the middle of it.
There is a lot of sawdust on the ground, sort of having general repairs and whatnot. None of it has been cleaned up yet, though.
I'm gonna put some scaffolding up. There's some scaffolding up on one wall that has been built, and the tools are still up there.
There is a bird's nest in the corner of the room that has been discovered. But there you can see some monks standing around looking up at it, not knowing what to do about it. Just like, do we move it? Do we like what? It's just like the indecision of when you see three people working, and they're just like, we don't know what to do.
It's shortly after breakfast, and some of the monks are congregated around Friar Hugo. Brother Antonio is actually seated directly across from you two, and we start in the middle of a conversation with him. He is a youthful and pale monk. He has laugh lines that betray how much he would normally be enjoying life, but his demeanor, as you've been talking to him now, is haunted and sullen. And he's telling you about the woman in the river you spoke to last night, his recently deceased grandmother. And so we kind of open up on him just talking and just being like, it looks like her, but it doesn't move like her, doesn't sound like her. My grandmother was old, frail. The woman in the field, the one you saw swimming in the river, moves as if she was 20 years younger. I approached her once. She invited me to swim with her in the river, and she smiled, but a little too wide, like it was someone else's mouth.
Could she give you any answers that were identifiable? You don't think it was her
No.
spirit?
It's her body, but not her spirit. I think Hugo, Friar Hugo, who has been off to the side, makes his way over here as the other monks are just kind of like keeping their heads low and trying not to, as they're eating there's a lot of tension in the air. They're eating from their bowls. They all look very afraid, and they've been like hiding in this place. It took some convincing for them to let you in, but because Mother Ruth is a woman of the cloth, they accepted it, even though she's a woman, and this is a monastery. Hugo,
I'm buttoned up. There's not a lot
are.
of skin showing.
You are.
Calm down, fathers.
Friar Hugo is a large man. And in your experience, having known him before, because he corresponded with you, Mother Calvo, he's normally a jovial man. He's scared out of his fucking wits. And he's, sweating. He's clutching his crucifix, pacing, and just kind of intercedes in the conversation, just says, that's how it's been going. Those bodies, many of them are people, the recently dead, inhabited by spirits. Spirits, new personalities, other people. They wear faces of the dead, but they are not them.
Well, it's good that you called to us.
I was not going to let you or your companion stay out there in the unholy night, but I admit this to you openly and plainly, that I mean no offense, but I would prefer if you kept your presence in the church to a minimum. Your work, I do not wish to step on your toes, but you are engaging with unholy forces, and I want to make sure that the brothers, and when he says brothers, he's mostly meaning myself and the brothers, keep us safe. I just don't want there to be any trouble in the mission.
Oh, don't worry your mind none too much, Father. I understand how much poor impulse control you and your fellow Catholics have when it comes to temptations being around, but I trust that me and my companion Graves here will have the utmost care and respect for the monastery as we get to the root of this problem that's been perplexing you for so long. Graves, I shall speak to the father if you would like. I can stay here so I don't get off wandering or anything. Would you like to take a look around? I know that your presence would bother them far less than mine, seeing as how your bosom is not as ample as mine.
I am not a person of the cloth, but I respect your decision. I'll go look around. As long as the brothers don't mind my presence.
There's an unease in the air, as if A shudder goes down their spine, but none of them could articulate why they feel that way, and no one says anything to the contrary.
And he just gets up from the table, nods to Mother Ruth, and goes off somewhere else in the monastery to go wander around and see what he can see.
Graves leaves, leaving you alongside Friar Hugo. Are you walking away from Brother Antonio and just going to speak with Hugo one-on-one? What's your idea? Mother Ruth.
Yeah, I'm gonna go speak to Hugo one-on-one and everything. Before I go, I'll turn and look at Antonio and say, and Father, pardon me, please provide with me a list of all the things that you did try and that you didn't try because you were far too afeared to. That way I know where to start so I don't dance over tread ground already.
Good to know. Your camera is not focusing on you. Very strange.
It's because it knows that the love of the Lord is.
Yep. That's it. That certainly is it.
Autofocus, yeah.
Mother Ruth, you can go ahead and roll the information move plus presence. I don't think any of your conditions will currently stand in the way of this, so you can roll flat.
Presence.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking dying here. All right. Thank fucking God these dice are not working, but this fucking presence is carrying me. That is a 10.
Very good. We'll come back to that. Graves, you'll go off and explore other parts of the mission. Back in town, Andrew Harrington, would you like to set up your marshaling duties and what you're doing here? Here, I'll also post this in the chat just so it's, I need to post this in the character keeper, but I need to clean up the text a little bit. So I'll just for now post this one part of it in the chat. So that's the special rule for the circumstances.
Yeah, I think we see sort of the scene where Andrew and Arkansas are at the back of Graves' place. I'm not sure, where is Graves staying at?
Graves has a house. Yeah, it's
I have
Yeah.
a house. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a great house. It's kind of a shitty little place, but it's a house.
Yeah. Yeah, I think. Does your back door have like a lock or something, or could I just open it and walk in?
You can open, if it had a lock, Graves forgot locks existed or were a thing and has not locked his house since the Wounded Knight started. So you can just waltz in.
Mm-hmm. See, this is what I mean of strange behavior. The door's like completely unlocked here.
Don't have to convince me, Marshall.
Yeah. I imagine like that there is like a bit of like disorganization because Graves really hasn't been staying here. Like there's bits and bobs and everything, and Andrew is just going through a sweep of the house, like looking through like papers, belongings, probably your mail, just whatever to like figure out like, was it related to when you got shot or was it something like more recent? And I say I have to pose a question. This is going to be a little bit of a weird one. I don't think like Andrew is like specifically thinking about this, but I think this is something he would sum up upon. Has Graves been sleeping?
Ooh, that is an interesting question, and I think the answer is no.
So it is very clear, based on your answer, that Graves has not been sleeping lately. Now, myself, Arkansas, or myself, Daniel, and Wes must answer with a rumor, a story, whatever about Bartholomew Graves' sleeping habits. Not just recently, just in general, whatever that they think they may have heard or have known beforehand. Go ahead, Wes.
Mother Ruth can clearly and plainly state this for you because for the longest time, Graves was not sleeping well because Graves was having to sneak in and out of Mother Ruth's dwelling in the wee hours of the night. So mother like when the Wilson family would go to bed and for a long time, Mother Ruth would still be up reading and practicing sermons and everything like that. And then there would be a tiny little knock at the window, and who would be there but Mr. Bartholomew Graves, looking, "May I have a crumb of pussy, please?" And then Miss Mother Calvo would let him in, and they would do their fornication, and then Mother Calvo, probably to not Graves's probably Graves wouldn't do this, but Mother Calvo would be like, "And now you have to leave." And Graves would be like, "God damn it." And it's like, "Yeah, I live with fucking Mormons and they're in the next room, so I need you to leave and get out of there." And so just creeping in and out at late hours and everything.
He always assumed one night she would be like, "No, it's cool. You can stay."
I think I can add to that legend. There's been many times where Arkansas is like, he slept in late and he's thrown up, and he saw Bartholomew Graves leaving the boarding house with the blue tin roof, like in the late afternoon or late morning.
I think there is an unconfirmed rumor that Bartholomew was a very nyctophobic, so like really hated like being out in the darkness late at night longer than he needed to be. So he tended to, be more indoorsy when he was around, and probably would slept with an abundance of like lights around, like candles and lanterns and all that. So based on all these answers you got, Andrew, you can tell us one clue that you find, as long as it doesn't answer the question of who shot Graves.
I think just in general, based on what I've heard about like Graves, was never well known to be like had decent sleep, been up at odd hours, been seen creeping in the dawn of the lights just before people would wake up and whatnot. I think sort of recently, like just to add my own little spin on it, I think Graves has been seen out about at night, looking up towards the stars. So just weird behavior.
All right, you may add that clue to the list.
I do that too once I get a crumb of pussy. I go stare at the stars and pond.
Arkansas, where in this circumstance do you wish to open the vulnerable move?
I think while the marshals is like casing the joint, or flipping it over or whatever, I think Arkansas is on the back porch, like keeping an eye out, and he's got his slingshot and he's firing it off into the air. And so I guess when the marshal comes back out. Yeah, did you find anything in there, Marshal?
It's as though that no one living has been staying here as of late. Just frankly weird.
Yeah, I'll leave my doors unlocked for you if you ever want to come look at my stuff. If I start acting strange.
Okay. That's a little bit better.
I give you consent. Hey, Marshal, this corset business, I might have tanked that for us. I might have sabotaged that. I might have messed that up.
What did you do?
Well, I was after that Big John Fells, and I think I was running my mouth about ghost stories about the old Red Rock Cantina. I left out the most gruesome part, and that's that underneath the basement there, they got 5 skulls mounted on the wall. I left that part out. We can add it now though, because I'm using my move ghost stories. But I didn't even talk about that, and Dave was giving me the old stink eye. Was you supposed to keep our mouths shut on this one? Because I did not mention the corset.
We were meant to keep our mouths shut in regards to any ghostly activities in the Red Rock Cantina.
I missed that part. That's the part I did miss. I'll make it up to Diamond Dave. I'll make it up to him.
Like there's other things afoot currently. Like I know that we could talk to other people in town because like there's people who go to the Red Rock Cantina. Like so like there's that sort of word of investigation. But I can just go there myself. There is no problem there.
Yeah, I better not go back in there.
Mhm.
It smells like, you know what? Have you ever been in there, the Red Rock Cantina?
Yes.
It smells like flowers. And that's a bit soft that's a bit soft for a guy like me out on the range, all these people smelling like flowers.
Are you talking about the perfume the ladies wear?
Is that what it's called? I don't know.
Arkansas, I
I'm
honestly,
not familiar with the fripperies of the women folk.
Arkansas, this is a genuine question, but do
I'm
you
not surprised that you
bathe?
are familiar, to be honest with you, Andrew. Look at your hands.
Yes, I bathe regularly. I'm not sure if you
Don't brag
do or
about
not.
it. Don't brag about it. Come on.
Arkansas, I swear to God that you have 1 foot to the grave already. I'm not sure how you're not dead yet.
Sometimes I just sit down in there, you know. Sit down in there in the grave and look around. Let's go get a drink. Are you hungry? Let's go get a taco.
All right.
Incredible. You may each clear a condition. And are we finding a clue or asking questions?
It's up to Arkansas.
Are we hurting for clues? I'm looking at the corset right now. Somebody already added my 5 skulls. I feel like I'm gonna invite you to ask a question. Since I just got a clue with my move.
Yeah, I have a question already. Blackheart Vermilion, like she's lady folk. Like, what about her? What happened between you two? Like,
Well, she got killed.
I mean, I know
You know,
that,
got
but
shot
like,
all up in the head. That's a relationship ender right there, Marshal.
I meant before she died. What
I
was?
was trying. I've done a lot of things in my time. I was trying sidekick there for a while, on account of how hard of a woman she is, and so I did like the people side of things, and she did like the killing side of things, and it was a pretty good team.
Just good friends.
Well, yeah. You don't got any friends?
I've got friends, Arkansas.
I ain't never seen them. You can't count a deputy. That ain't a friend. That's an employee, Andrew. They'll act nice to you, but I guarantee you, them Wainwright brothers talk bad about you behind your back. About how much you take baths and stuff, probably. I don't know. That's your business.
All right, Arkansas. I think. You do realize that I am the marshal, yes?
That's why. Yes. That's why I got you to go get that coward Jim McKinnley. I wouldn't have got you if you were the dentist. Come on.
on that line, I wouldn't have got you if you were the dentist. We cut back over. Mother Ruth, can you remind me what you were asking Friar Hugo? I know you got a 10.
Could you please let me know the processes that you've already done to deal with this ghost problem so that I don't tread over already tread ground? So I'm not just doing something that hasn't worked. Essentially just kind of being like, is there anything I should keep my eye out for when I start doing my own little exorcism type stuff?
I admit to you, Mother Calvo, the brothers and I have been terribly afraid, especially ever since where's her? Hold on. Ever since Sister Magdalena, one of our nuns and cook, drowned in the river and is now inhabited by one of those spirits, is now walking around the town as the lawman. He says, we haven't done much other than to protect and stay safe in here. Let's see. But Brother Martin, he's the one with the beard. He was shaving some time ago, and in the mirror, he saw that the entire room was underwater. And after that happened, well, we destroyed all the mirrors and threw their shards out into the yard. So that's your clue. The mirrors of the mission were reflecting it being underwater. And he kind of like leans in close to you, and he says, Mother Calvo, I thought I was here doing God's work, restoring the mission, restoring his presence here. But I think I must have been wrong. I now wonder if God can reach this place. People say the moon is like a bullet hole in the night sky. I think it's more like a baleful stigmata, a perverse wound put there by the devil.
Mother Calvo takes all of this in. Brother Hugo. How long has it been that you've served the Lord?
Many, many long years, Mother Calvo. Many long years and many pious years.
And in those years, tell me, how often did you come across things of this nature? The things that bump in the night, the things that lurk around people's hearts that grips to them and keeps them afeared from opening themselves up to the love and light of the Lord?
Never, never like this. Never. I've surely read tales in the holy book about demons and forces of evil, but I've never faced it myself. I'm not a proud man. I can admit that I am terrified, and I'm out of my depth. That is why I know that your help is necessary and needed. I've heard the stories out of El Paso. I know what you do, what you have done. And while I question the integrity of such business in the eyes of the Lord, you are experienced and you are devout. And I think that that is what we need. I'm sorry that I can't help you more than this, Mother Calvo. I'm simply begging you. I understand that it puts you in an awful inconvenience. I'm terrified. The brothers and I were all very frightened. Help us.
The Lord's chosen people wandered the desert for 40 years before they supposedly found their home. You've been doing this for a long time. That has been your wandering, and now you are facing a tribulation, a trial that's so great that you don't know if you can surmount to it. So I give you this, Father. Gather you and the rest of the brothers. Gather together, clasp each other hand in hand, and pray. Pray that the Lord gives you strength and courage and bravery to stand up. For this being your first test, and you quivering so in the face of it, shows that you're going to need a lot more than just my help to help you with this. Because even far after me and my associate have cleared up the things in Clear Springs, there will be something that's dogging you, that hunts and follows behind you. So I ask you now, Hugo, if you do you think that you are cut out for this line of work? Because if your answer is no, for being afeared of the things that bump in the night, and that shadow around the hearts of mankind, if it makes you quiver thusly, you're much better off taking that ratty, tattered garment off of your form. You and the rest of the brothers removing the cloth, tossing your crucifixes into the river with that lot of unwanted spirits, and wandering the desert yourself. Or mayhaps take up gambling, or drinking, or whoring, or carousing. This work that we do is not meant for the meek. That is not a privilege that you're privy to when you take up this. You are a lion. But if you do not believe that, then you can go join the rest of the sheep with the flock. And we'll let the good, true-hearted people of faith take care of the things that need to be taken care of. Thank you for your help. I hope you and the brothers find something to do about that wretched bird that's just shitting all in the corner.
Are you triggering fire and brimstone?
I am triggering fire and brimstone. Yeah.
Very good. Go ahead and roll plus presence or sensitivity. I do think I'm going to give you disadvantage because you're shaken. Like there's a bit of a quaver in your voice that almost makes your resolve in question. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, I totally sidetracked. You had, since you had bumped up your roll from the mist in the night phase to a thing with a complication, your complication was I wanted you to subtract a box on But Not Forgotten, that your immediate kind of like hardened kind of responses in the face of the dead was not charitable, and it kind of drew you away from the pious path. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, got it.
But anyway, go ahead and roll with disadvantage.
I'm going to use with sensitivity because there's a little bit of
I like it.
The spirit in there. God damn you. You know that? God damn you. Because we could have had it all, gang. We could have had a 13, but instead we're just gonna have a fucking 10. You know what? Even more than that, just because I like it, I'm gonna put a mask on and bump it up. I'm so pissed. I'm gonna put a mask on.
Even though there's no bonus to being a 13 or being a 12 plus, it's just a 10 plus result.
10 plus result. I don't know. Figure it out, buddy.
I mean, you can. It doesn't do anything, but if you want to put on a mask, you can. But it's
I think Alex just X-carded that.
If it doesn't include anything with the masterminds, then I don't want.
No, it doesn't.
Get them out of here. Okay,
yeah. I think on a 10 plus, as the move says, they disperse or are regretful. It makes sense for him to be regretful in this case. I think he suddenly breaks down and cries like a child, begins to just like sob, tears coming thick and heavy down his round cheeks before he takes slow heaving breaths and clutching his crucifix so hard you can actually see a little bit of blood begin to like drip out from his palm. He takes a long shaking inhalation of breath and exhales it slowly. A second one, he opens his eyes puffy and red from the quivering fit he just had. His eyes meet yours, and much steadier than he was before, he says, I have stumbled in my path, and I have much to learn from you. We will do better than this. We will do the Lord. We will do right by the Lord. And in his remorse, there is the seed of resolute determination to begin doing a bit more. Elsewhere in the mission, Graves wanders looking around, walking through the discarded bits of construction and repair. You hear a sound, Graves. The sound at first reminds you of a distant wind, but it's more textured than that. It's the sound of a raging river, but it's not the river outside. It's too far away, and though the sky is overcast, it's not presently flooded. But there is a sound, and it's coming from somewhere in the mission. Do you follow it?
Absolutely.
You follow this raging indoor river, and it leads you to a small room that clearly, with its tarps and buckets strewn about, has not really been in use other than to store bits of the monks' restoration efforts. But in the room, there is a confessional booth that just stands alone, centered, clearly not used in some times, but painted a jet black. And the door to one side is slightly ajar. And as you enter this room, the sound of the river dims away, but you can still faintly hear it coming from inside the confessional. Let's paint the scene about the black confessional. What about the box would frighten a young child, but appear unremarkable to an adult?
There is
Oh, go ahead, Kelly.
there is ornamentation of angels, and from a lower perspective, looks like they're all looking down at you. Whereas if you're older and looking sort of almost directly at them, they look just somber and sad.
And I was going to say, it sounds like the door and just the wood is very, very creaky, and it's like a groaning kind of creak.
I think the shadow it casts on the wall sometimes, when the light is just right in there, looks like a person. And it's very unsettling if you catch it out of the glimpse of like the corner of your eye.
I think the way when you sit in the booth on the seating, on like the seating and everything like that, it creaks in a way that it doesn't feel like a kid. I would haunt with you. It sound like almost like a ghost yawning or being tiresome, but it just has a creak to the wood that like it's just like, oh, it's just a creaky seat. But if you're a kid, it's haunting stuff.
Do you enter the black confessional, Graves?
Absolutely. Whichever one is the open door, he opens it and looks inside before he gets in. Obviously, he's not just going to get in.
It's empty, other than the seat and the little latticed screen that separates the penitent from the priest.
Oh, yeah. Then he gets in, doesn't close the door. And instead of just sitting regularly, he looks down through the lattice to see if there's anyone or anything on the other side.
As you crouch down and look inside, you see that it is empty, but then the booth closes, the door shuts. As you stand, do you try to get out?
Yeah, I want to see if the door will open for me.
The handle jiggles, but the door doesn't open. And that's when you hear the door on the other side open and someone steps into the booth. And you hear the latch close. You catch the faintest whiff of copper in the background. And that sound of the roaring river is dim, but now it's taken on more of the tone of a tempest, a distant storm, thunderheads roaring, a promise of violence to come. And through the very tight lattice darkness of the Black confessional, you can't really make out who stepped in the booth, but you catch a very faint glimmer of the color red. And then you hear a voice, familiar and terrible and entirely unexpected, that just says, "Hello, sibling."
Oh.
And that is where we end the session. Let's go to Stars and Wishes, everybody.
Stars for that shit. Oh, fuck. Oh my God. If anybody else wants to start, don't let me yelling stop you. But,
Graves, is your sibling hot?
yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, actually, that's Alex's decision, but I think so. I think they would be. So, but holy shit, stars to everyone. Stars. There were so many like killer one-liners in this one. Like, I will have to like rewatch it to like note them all down. They were all so good. Like, Alex, you were killing it with the narration. Just absolutely like a stigmata in the sky.
Well, that was
is-
written in the thread. That's
Good
one of the-
job. Well, I don't know. Shit, I haven't read that. Good job, Daniel. That's wicked. I mean, but that was not the only one.
This was not written by me. My version of this is different. This is David's.
Well, hell yeah. Good job, David, on this one. That was a cool ass line. And just Alex, the way you have painted the pictures of everything, I mean, that last bit is delightful. I'm very excited to see how you play them. Very exciting. The person in the confessional, the way you like, I love your voice work every time. It's just so good. Your scene with Blackheart Vermilion in Arkansas, just my goodness, my heart. That was such a good resolution. I really loved it. I really love how you've paced this. I'm really like, with all of us being in so many different places, and you've really done a great job of keeping the pacing. And I would be remiss if I did not mention the fact that you wrote an entire side threat about my fucking character. I am beyond flattered that this is like a thing you would do for the story we're telling. This is so interesting, and just that this is fascinating, and I almost kind of like that I can't investigate it, that I just kind of have to watch Marshal Harrington do it. That's a really fun little twist. So bravo, Alex. Oh my gosh, delicious. Arkansas McGee. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you actually got to do the last ride of Blackheart Vermilion. I'm so glad you made it, just slid right under that door as it was closing, like just barely got in there and did it in such a killer way, and like gave Marshal Harrington long shot. That's a cool little detail. I loved the last conversation for that thing between Arkansas and Blackheart. Like I said, that was so good. Oh my gosh. And I really also love the vulnerable scene between Arkansas and Andrew. That fucking killed me, dude. Like, y'all are like I don't know about the fripperies of women folk is really good. Like, Arkansas's, he's and the fact that you're like, to do target practice to the sky, you're using a slingshot. Like, this man is a wild ass, and I really love it. And you really play him in such a charming way. And I really love the dynamic between him and Andrew is really fun. The dichotomy between them is really just delicious. Like, ugh, I love it. Mr. Andrew Harrington, what the fuck are you up to? And your custom move? What? What? This is like I knew this motherfucker was doing something. But like this was what a wild way to take that character and what a fascinating trajectory you've got him on. I am wrapped. It is like that is so cool. I also just really loved how the way you handled the whole shootout, like starting a shootout. That was that was very good. Like just some clever one-liners about justice being messy and then being like, I'm gonna shoot him. I'm gonna shoot him. It's fine. That's really good. I really, really loved that. That's really fun. I'm excited to see you use this move because I imagine it's going to be absolutely bananas.
Oh yeah.
I can confirm it's going to be insane. I'm very excited for it. Wes, Mother Ruth Calvo. Oh my gosh. Your like Mask of the Past almost made me cry. That was so good. Like your masks are always astounding. That was heartbreaking. And I really am interested to see this like other side of this side of Mother Ruth that we haven't really gotten to see because she's been embroiled in all of these other things and her past has been something she's kind of just sort of shoved down. And this is like dragging it up. And I'm really just, I cannot wait to see how this threat pans out for her and her whole thing. And I also really I really love getting to have scenes between her and Graves because she's always just so like you are to everyone, including death, and it's just like I know you are a sinner and you are just I know you want to like do all of this terrible sinful stuff. She's also saying it to the friars too, to like the brothers in the monastery and being like, I know you guys don't have a handle on your shit and you can't handle temptation, so I'm sorry. Like that was really really good. She's so sassy. Yes, I love it. Stars to everyone. Delicious, delicious, delicious stuff.
I've got some here. Let's see what I have. Chaotic. Last time, Wes wanted to see, his wish was that you lean into being a marshal, and you served it. You brought it. Big lawman, justice talk, and a shootout with Big John, and then putting Big John in Starford putting Big John in the river drowning later on, and your justice speak being your business. Like justice is it was good. He wasn't having it. Andrew was not having it. And kind of like how Wes mentioned last time, that we've kind of seen this side of Andrew, like man about town, but this was justice, Andrew Harrington. So big star there. And thanks for bringing along Saul Ortega. That was totally a PR. I wanted some PR for Andrew. Speaking of Wes, one of my favorite things today was this place feels like a wonderland, and then wrapping that into your unseen about a wonderland of savings was just awesome. Jesse's I think it's Jesse. Yeah, Jesse's notes that he had. It was just I really liked your echo there. And the Civil War flashback, the Battle of Sharpsburg, I believe. Yeah, that was brutal. Uh, Big stars, like triple layer stars. Narr, like having the inevitable in a ghost town, and then your portrayal of him is just sad, and how this is like an affront to nature. It's going to be. I'm interested to see where this goes, and forget the ghost town. I know who's sitting next to you in the confessional. That's big star for Alex. I'm very interested in that. What other? Oh yeah, and you put the old Marshal in the river, so star for that. Let's see who's. Oh, Alex. the Black Confessional is awesome. The Strange Case of Bartholomew Graves is awesome, and the you kind of like making the town open up to Wes's this place feels like a wonderland from Mother Calvo, and then you made it, you turned it into a wonderland, and just the response for the lights coming up. And my special star goes to the corpse child farrier who shall now haunt my dreams.
I'll go next. Stars for Andrew Harrington. We got the bad Leroy Brown version of Andrew Harrington today. Very quick, effective, like a scalpel. And like which is like, it's very interesting to see how Andrew Harrington handles situations like compare the bounty hunter and how that was handled in the hotel compared to this. And it's just interesting seeing how Andrew handles things that are personal and handles things that affect those around him, and just how like it's almost like night and day. There's less emotion involved. There's more focus. There's more of an angle on justice, as opposed to like this motherfucking bounty hunter in here. I'm gonna be underhand, like when we see those like real Harrington stuff, it's like I'm gonna be more underhanded. I'm gonna sneak in. I'm gonna rifle through his shit. I'm gonna also like shoot him in the middle of all these people. Like it's just a really interesting dichotomy. Stars for Alex for your narration. Just like in general, the narration of Clear Springs. I love the idea of it's one of the things that like I hope that people take away from like the ghost ship threat that I have for the Unsinkable, which is seeing something so dead and just like decrepit and ruined, and like seeing it slowly come back to life, and like the characters knowing that it's fake and everything like that, but also not being able to like almost distinguish it. I just like seeing the slow revitalization of something and by supernatural means, and you did a really good job with that. Very eloquent use of moments and everything that really just great set dressing. I want to give a star to Daniel for was it Archibald? The dummy? Yeah, like
Alphonse.
Alphonse, thank you. Alphonse the dummy. May he ride one more time in the great plains of the sky. I hope that that Alphonse's spirit is someplace and is enjoying helping bring justice and peace to the town. And then a star for Narr, for Graves, and like just being a little fucking shit, just being a little, just like this guy has got some shit that he's got to work through. Bartholomew Graves and death itself both have shit to work through, and I can't wait to see what that shit to work through is involved with your sibling, your other horseman, maybe, mayhaps be famine. Mayhaps be war, mayhaps be what's the I can never forget the fourth one because I know
Pestilence.
Pestilence, because it sounds like famine, but it's pestilence.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just excited to see what happens. So I'm just great. You're all fantastic, and have a good one. I don't know. Merry Christmas. Walking in a winter wonderland that's on fire.
I gotta give a star for just Alex for like just presentation of various things, because like the Strange Case of Bartholomew Graves. Oh my God, Alex, you're putting the pressure on me so hard. Like you're just like, oh yeah. Besides being like a side threat that has like a very specific way of investigating it, Harrington's the only one that can investigate, and you have a timer on it based on how many mastermind clues we got. Like there was a few times this session that Mother Calvo almost got like a few mastermind clues. I'm just like, hey, better not be Margaret masks to get those 12 pluses. So like there is like a certain pressure to not mark masks in a particular situations, which is very interesting, like sort of gameplay perspective, as well as just the prompts for like finding clues of like, hey, hey, does Graves sleep? And the answer is mostly no, but it's gotten weirder. So that's been fun. Arkansas, you know what to get under Harrington's skin, like saying like, oh no, you don't have any friends. Your deputies do not count you out as friends. And even if it did count, they have been talking about you behind your back, and like it's just like, oh, you're talking about bathing. That's bad. Why are you doing that? Don't do that. That's not cool. And I'm just like, I'm about to arrest you and give you a bath, sir. I don't know when the last time you bathed. It's probably been too long.
Just a scathing review of a man in the style of a Midwestern gay man in a New York City gay club bathroom. Just like a total dressing down.
As well as just the answer to like your relationship to Blackheart Vermilion, like Andrew got you all wrong, and it's just like, oh, you're just friends. What is up with that? Like, how can you just be friends with this person? Like, why are you just good friends? Like, is there nothing else going on between the two of you? Well, okay, I guess that could be a thing. Ah, uh, Mother Calvo, just that mask, just wild. Uh, B, I'm looking forward to seeing your sibling. And I'm also looking forward to how I'm going to use my custom move, because based on how Arkansas has acted this session is how I'm going to use the move. Because I know there's been trouble with the corset and what with Arkansas. Maybe I could smooth things over with that.
Oh boy. Yeah, I have to say, this session was very fun in ways I did not anticipate. I want to give a star to everyone's narration of how they incorporated their personal quarters items. I want to call out in particular Mother Ruth using the letter to ground herself as a holy mission. I thought that was a fantastic piece of detail. I have to star the use of Alphonse as a stealth buddy. I thought that was one, hilarious, and then genuinely, oh no, Alphonse is dead. But we all had to remember he's a puppet. Alas, poor Alphonse, I knew you well, even though that's a misquote of Hamlet. Just so everyone's uses of items there were very strong. Yeah, I'm already echoing some stars, particularly in Arkansas's conversation with the marshal. I was tickled by the dentist line, but in general, just Arkansas's brazen, well, let's just put it bluntly, the balls Arkansas has to say these things to the marshal never ceases to amaze me. And it's really funny because I really kind of want to see how this boils over, or if it's just a continued waiting for Godot-esque absurdism that just constantly gets thrown around between these two, but nothing ever comes of it. Graves, your interactions in the night phase with Mother Ruth were very strong, and I don't know what to make of Graves as a character. I never have. I just love him, and you do a great job playing him, B. And also star to the skull makeup. I know you do it every time, but every time the night phase comes along and we get that going on, it's sick. Chaotic, that move, I'm very excited to see him play it. You've set up that there's weirder stuff going on with him anyway. Now this is taking it to another level. This is putting our game of El Paso in a very, as I think Daniel mentioned, a Suicide Squad kind of territory. But I kind of like it. This pairs well with some other ideas I have. And just overall, I really enjoyed everyone's contributions to the narrative. And man, that Mask of the Past, Wes, that was brutal and gorgeous. I loved every second of it. I'm very excited to see what comes next. I'm glad that y'all are engaging. I'm glad that Andrew is engaging, but all of you are enjoying my conceptual side threat that's been on my mind for some time now. And yeah, I definitely, as for wishes, I definitely want more group stuff. Like I love that we split off and do a bunch of things. I'm really looking forward to those more moments when we can get all of the Vigilance Committee in one place at a time, like doing things. Because I think that you guys interact in strange ways, especially with Andrew and Graves. So yeah. Also, it's been a while since Mother Ruth has done anything sinful. I know that she has pious, but still, I'm looking forward to that coming back once we get more charitable acts into there. And yeah, this is great. I'm enjoying it immensely. Any other stars or wishes?
Yeah, a trip to the El Paso bathhouse. A nice little a little filler episode. Do we just sauna? Is there a sauna?
Can we have a spa day?
Are there some Swedes that are trying to develop a sauna in the hot springs of El Paso, outside of El Paso?
The new threat coming up next time: the Swedish hot springs. Yes. All right.
Actually, that's not like a.
No, it's not a bad idea.
We should talk. We should talk about.
We should talk about a threat involving.
Make it Finnish or Swedish.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some hot springs. Yeah.
All right. Well, then in that case, everyone wave goodbye.